Welcome to the Rider Outsiders, where we talk CFL football and your Saskatchewan Roughriders. I'm Mitch Wiles with Dylan Robson.
Hey there, Mitch. Good to hear you. You know what? It might have been a tough game to watch, but it's going to be a fun game to talk about. Let's get started with some quick hits.
First up, how bad is Montreal? Now, they're 0-2, and they got whooped by Winnipeg 56-10. Dylan, how many wins this year will Montreal get?
They'll get 4. No, I don't know. They might get a little more than that. They're bad right now. They were bad last year. They seem to be worse this year. I don't know. Tough to say, but not many.
2 wins. Moving on. How good is Winnipeg? So Winnipeg beat up Montreal, and this is a rookie quarterback, Chris Streveler, 22 for 28, 78%, 246 yards, 3 touchdowns, and get this, rushed 10 times for 98 yards and a touchdown. Now, this is making me wonder, where's Winnipeg going to finish this year in the West? Dylan?
Well, I think they'll get a home playoff game. It's so early to make an assumption like that on my part, but Winnipeg's going to be in the playoffs. If they keep this up, they're going to be there. This Streveler, it's refreshing to see a guy come in straight out of college and perform at this level.
Totally
I was saying
agree.
before, sometimes it's just the right chemistry. Sometimes it's just the guy is there and the team works for him, the coach works for him. It's not like that with everybody. Sometimes you find that magic formula, and that's what we're seeing right now with Winnipeg and their quarterback.
Yeah, and second place, a home playoff game, I think is definitely in the cards for Winnipeg. They're looking really good. And who else is looking really good? Jeremiah Masoli. I don't think I'd ever say that. I used to sort of see this guy as a second stringer that's sort of getting a shot, but he just helped beat up Edmonton. Went 19 for 29, 332 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Another 59 yards on the ground. I'm not sure, Dylan, how much you've seen of Jeremiah Masoli over the last couple of years, but it looks like he's coming into his own. Is Jeremiah Masoli for real? Dylan?
Yeah, you know what, he is for real. Like I said with Streveler, sometimes you find that magic formula. Sometimes with a guy like Masoli, more often than not, the reality is it takes a while to get there. It takes a while to get to that level. And Masoli's got a good coach. He's got a good system, I believe, there in Hamilton. And we're seeing some good football out of him. So I'm not surprised that he's getting to the next level, just with the system that he's in. I think Hamilton is really working at building their team and staying stronger over the years.
And that's time. Okay, we'll just do a quick news. We've got some new stuff coming in right now. And it looks like Ricky Ray, who was injured on Saturday, he was taken off on a stretcher, immobilized, and he's still in the hospital. That's the news from the CFL and the team, but he does have a feeling throughout his body now. There was some signs there that this was a serious, very serious neck injury, but they are saying it is not, no signs of concussion.
When I see Ricky Ray getting tackled from behind on his way down, and I see a second football player come in and lay a hit to the head of the quarterback, as far as I'm concerned, that's an intent to injure. He did not need to make the hit. Ricky Ray was on his way down. I get it, full speed when the play is going. It's tough to make that call as you're a player. But if you look at it, Ricky Ray was on his way down. Didn't need to get hit again. But that's what caused the injury, and it shouldn't have happened. Shouldn't have hit him that way.
And we'll see if there's a suspension coming on Monday. We don't know yet. And Dylan, Ricky Ray, he's 38 years old. This is likely his last season. He was sort of humming and hawing about coming back after winning the Cup last year. As a fan, do you want to see Ricky Ray return after seeing the injury that he just suffered?
As a fan of the CFL, I would have liked to see Ricky Ray just retire last year. You win the Cup, you're like, yeah, we did it, and you ride out into the sunset. Just like Henry Burris did.
That's right.
Same sort of era as Ricky Ray, if you will. And I think it would have been great for him to do that. And now he might be regretting that decision.
Well, hopefully he's not regretting it. But James Franklin now does get a chance to start in Toronto, and he's been a backup in Edmonton for many years. And a lot of people want to see what he's got. And I guess...
James Franklin, 6'2", 225. He's 26 years old. people want to see what James Franklin has. He was almost a Rough Rider. At least that was the rumor for a while, that
For sure.
Chris Jones wanted to bring in James Franklin. Didn't see it happen. So let's see what he's got in Toronto. I think that'll be a fun game to watch.
All right. Shall we move on to week 2, Roughriders versus REDBLACKS?
Oh, yeah, let's talk about that. Why don't we?
All right. 40-17 blowout loss. The Roughriders get destroyed in Ottawa. Dylan, what are your takeaways from that game?
You know what? We started out kind of strong. We started out, there was a little bit back and forth. I saw just an incredible touchdown pass early on, late in the first quarter. Williams Lambert with a beautiful catch, right? Williams Lambert. Mitch, I think he needs a nickname. What do you think? I can't be calling him Williams Lambert all season long, that's for sure.
I agree. So it's Jordan Williams Lambert. He's the new guy that took over for Bakari Grant, Chad Owens. So what do you got?
So
JWL?
Yeah. JWL, that's one. Billy Lambert, Billy Burt. I could go with Billy Burt. I really could. So either way, we came out kind of strong. There were some promising plays there, some promising back and forth where we traded a couple interceptions with Ottawa.
First two quarters it looked like it was okay. Yeah, they were in it. Well, then
Colares getting injured, I don't think that helped. The coach said concussion protocol is the reason he's out. Won't say anything else aside from that.
Yeah, still no word on how bad that was. Colares went 4 for 10, 106 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and then it was pulled because he was getting hit. He got hit 4 or 5 times. Nothing that he stayed down on, but he got hit repeatedly, and they pulled him for the concussion protocol. And sadly, Bridge didn't. He didn't take this chance to take over the team. He went 13 for 22, 59%, 145 yards, 1 interception. Didn't look that great. And I think both quarterbacks, they had like interceptions in the end zone sort of thing. Like they really shot themselves in the foot that game.
Yeah, Bridge. I think there was those end zone passes, the ones that were potential touchdowns that Bridge was throwing. They were a little bit short. I don't know the psychology of a QB, what he's thinking when you put a ball just a little bit short. I know they know where they want to place the ball. What happens when they're going a little short? Are they shy? Are they worried it's going to get picked? Is the guy not open enough? What was going through their mind? Why is he throwing it short?
It's hard to say. Sometimes they have these like comebackers where they'll throw it short and hoping that their receiver is going to come back to it and the DB keeps running, something like that. But then there's the opposite of where they just come up short and they underthrow the guy, and that's when you get these interceptions.
Yeah, because those ones that are supposed to be short, it's almost like a back shoulder. I can't remember. Yeah, and it's short and it's in a spot that the defensive player can't reach it.
That's right.
Didn't know it was going there.
That's the plan.
But these weren't like that. These were just straight up short balls.
William Powell, the running back there in Ottawa, was on fire. 19 for 94 yards, 24 receiving, and Deontay Spencer was almost uncoverable. He went 6 for 82, 1 touchdown, and that's against Duron Carter. Duron Carter got burnt pretty bad for a huge touchdown there. Dylan, what do you think about Carter's game there? Playing D, didn't touch offense.
Yeah, I don't know if any of the listeners got a chance to see Duron Carter's tweet, but he basically said, he kind of highlighted the play that he missed, the play that he got burned on, and he explained why he got burned on that play, because he was spending too much time trying to pick the ball, spending too much time looking at the quarterback. What that boils down to is Duron Carter's making rookie mistakes. Now, if you ask me, what we're doing here is ridiculous. We have one of the highest paid receivers in the league, and we're not paying him to catch the ball. We're paying him to play defense and make rookie mistakes. If we had a cornerback, if we had a naturally defensive player, and we're paying him the same amount that we're paying Duron Carter, that guy's not making rookie defensive back mistakes. Duron Carter is a high-paid CFL player who should not be getting paid to make rookie mistakes. Get him off defense. The experiment is over. Put him on offense. Maybe you want to put him in a play here or there for defense. Fine. You start him on defense and take him out of the receiving corps. It's just not working. It's not working for me. Not a fan of it anymore at all.
Even with the pick six.
Well, the pick six, in his tweet, what he was saying was he spent the whole game looking for that pick six. So how many other plays that weren't touchdowns did he get burned on? How many other times did he cost us a first down or even 8-yard pass or something like that? Because he wasn't necessarily on the same page as the rest of his defense.
And let's not forget, late in the game, 2 big pass interference calls against Carter. So he definitely looked like I don't know if it's sure if his emotions were getting to him or he wasn't playing smart football. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I don't get it. Like, I'd love to hear the logic. Like, maybe it works as an experiment. Hey, let's try this out. Hey, we got some results. Okay. And then it's not getting better. Now it's getting worse.
I don't mind him as the backup DB that can go in during the game if they're short during the game, but not to start him. I agree with you because you're taking a big whipping off of offense. But if he's playing offense and someone goes down and he has to come in emergency style, that's fine with me. That saves a roster spot for the Riders.
So, I mean, it might be controversial to say, but I'll say it. If you're not going to have Duron Carter playing offense this year, then you might as well trade him. Because what's the point in paying him? I don't know what he's getting paid. I'm assuming it's in the $200,000 area. What's the point in paying somebody that much who has no experience in that position? Why would you do that? If you're not going to put him on offense and you want to start him on defense all year so he can learn how to be a cornerback, then just trade the guy. You can get 2 defensive players for what you're paying him. If you want Carter to be defense, just save us the misery. The experiment is over. Trade him. If you don't want him to play defense, put him on offense so he can be receiver because that's what we want to see and that's what he wants to do.
I'll try to I'll try to jump into Chris Jones' mind a little bit here. I believe Jones believes in the athletic, the big athlete, right? The big coachable athlete. He sees this extreme talent in Duron Carter athletically, so why not put him at whatever position suits at the time? If he thinks he can coach him into the best DB in the league, and he has the athletic gifts to do that, then the experiment to begun, right? But I hear you loud and clear. You want this experiment to be over.
Do you want to coach him into the best? Take 2 years and coach him into the best defensive back?
That's what they're doing.
Or do you want to let him be the best receiver in the league right now? I don't. As we record this podcast, over my shoulder is a picture of a one-handed, backhanded, 6-foot leap into the air picture of Duron Carter catching the ball against Toronto last year. I mean, it was the catch of the year. And I'm looking at this picture as I'm reading this tweet where he's like, hey, I'm making rookie mistakes. Let the guy be a receiver. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
It's not the first time Chris Jones is moving people around. He likes to take D linemen, put them onto offensive line, moving people around from safety to linebacker, vice versa. He finds athletic people and he moves them around. And it's what we get with Chris Jones. It says touch base on Trevor Harris and how good he looked. 26 for 36, 345 yards passing. So with all that running they were getting from William Powell, they really killed the Riders secondary. 345-yard passing, and that is with, obviously, Duron Carter playing cornerback. Dylan, I believe you want to talk D-line. No sacks this week.
I know. It was like, it was like, what do you call it? It was like the exact opposite of last week.
I didn't hear Hughes' name the whole game. The whole game. I never heard Charleston Hughes with anything. There was not a pressure, obviously not a sack, not a knockdown. I didn't hear peep out of either of our big star ends there.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, how does it go from one extreme to the other? Last week, it was right from the opening play of the game against Toronto. We had pressure on the quarterback. And then Charleston Hughes with 3 sacks against Toronto, 0 this week against Ottawa. The defense did not show up. Coach Jones said it. He said it in a post-game press conference. Anytime you put 41, the other team puts 41 points on the board, It's not a good night. You got that right. It was not a good night for the defense.
And you got the same criticism, though, from the fans each week, or at least every week but week one, is that Jones loves to send three guys. And, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't seem like the Riders get pressure sending three guys. Rarely
Right.
do they blitz.
And you and I said on this podcast in the preseason, we'd like to see some blitzing. We'd like to see more than a 3-man rush. We said that. And maybe we'll get more of it. I'd like to see a far more aggressive defense.
Because whatever they did didn't help.
The Riders in the field.
Like putting all those DBs back and only rushing 3, you still let the opposing team pass for 345 yards, rush for 100 yards. Like, you're not stopping anything. So whatever they were doing defensively, they should rethink it.
Yeah. What if he put all those DB? What if it was that coverage style because he wanted to compensate for, and essentially a rookie Duron Carter? It's another impact of having somebody like that in that position. So it's like defense has to. We got to see the same defense that we saw against Toronto. Maybe it was Toronto. Like I said, I gave Toronto the Met of the week last week. So maybe it was just we looked good because Toronto didn't come out. And
and Toronto looked really weak again this week, right? They got beat up 41-7 by Calgary. 41-7, albeit with Ray getting injured early on, but ugly game there. So the Argonauts are not as strong, even though they're Grey Cup champs from last year. They're not as strong this year as they were last year at this point in time. Maybe not as bad as Montreal, but our win last year is a little bit of our win in week one. Less impressive now that Calgary destroyed Toronto.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, and you speak of the meh of the week. Let's move on to the meh of the week. A couple candidates here. I'll throw up the Saskatchewan D line. We just talked about that. Pretty weak, unfortunately. No sacks. Dylan, do you have a candidate for the meh of the week?
Yeah, the D line, it's a respectable candidate. The entire defense for the Riders would have been.
Sounds like Duron Carter might be your guy.
Yeah, I'm just going to go a little different direction here and just say Brandon Bridge. Last year we saw him come off the bench and just amplify that offense so many times. Even if we didn't get the win, the comeback would have been so close. Brandon Bridge was exciting coming off that bench last year. This year, this is his big chance coming off the bench. What he got? And it was just slow start, interception. Where's the scrambling, the rushing? Where's the exciting football? I mentioned in a previous podcast we did here about getting that playbook designed for Brandon Bridge. The things that he excels at, the style of football that he's – because him and Zach, they're not the same QB. They deserve different playbooks. I hope they have different playbooks. I really assume they do. But really like to see some stuff out of Brandon Bridge that's call exciting football for him and let him do exciting football. And maybe they tried that and it just wasn't working. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say how much of a play package they have for Brandon Bridge because it seems like they're really going all in on Zach Claros. All right, the Med of the Week this week, Brandon Bridge. All right, next up we have predictions for Week 3. The first matchup is Ottawa versus Calgary, the Red Blacks and the Stampeders. Dylan, who do you have in this one?
You know what? This could be the game of the week. Both teams looked obviously really strong. I'm going to go with Calgary. Calgary are regular season powerhouses. And, Grey Cup choke artists. Don't need to go there, though. But my pick is Calgary.
Yeah, I do agree. This could be the game of the week. Winnipeg-Hamilton will be a good game as well, but these are two of the stronger teams in the league at this point. Calgary, Ottawa, Calgary. I'll agree with you. Likely a Calgary win. It's at home. All right, next up is Winnipeg at Hamilton. What do you like in Winnipeg at Hamilton?
I think Winnipeg's good this year. I'm going to call this one for Hamilton just because of the momentum they have. And I really think that Mazzoli, he's prepared and he's ready and he's hungry. And he does have an experience edge. on Winnipeg's quarterback.
Yeah,
not that necessarily matters, but I am looking forward to that game as well. And I think
it's so exciting game. Yeah, Mazzoli's on fire. He's got the money, Mr. Money there, Manziel sitting on the bench just waiting for his chance to come in. So Mazzoli, he's got tons of pressure on him, but he's doing great. He's throwing for over 300 yards last game. But then you got the rookie quarterback who's on fire too, and he's jumping in there while Matt Nichols is injured. So those two guys do not want to lay an egg at all in the chances they have this year.
Right, they're both in the perfect chance to show everything they have. Leave it all out on the table.
Agreed. Next up in the week, BC at Edmonton. Edmonton lost to Hamilton, a little bit surprising. They're usually always very hard to beat at home. So this is BC at Edmonton. Who do you like?
I'm going to say Edmonton just because, this past week was one thing, but, seeing them in week 1, they were strong. They're still strong. And I think they're going to have a good year this year, as much as I don't want that to happen, being a Rider fan. But yeah, this one will go to Edmonton.
I agree. I think Mike Riley bounces back, leads the Eskimos to a big win. And finally, Montreal at Saskatchewan. What do the Riders need to do to win this game?
We need to find out if Zach Collaros is going to start. That's one. That's
big question mark.
If he's not ready to go, Brandon Bridge, like I said, needs to play exciting football. When you
they need
see
to play
blitz, when you scout, if you scout that blitz, the pressure's coming. Scramble and sneak.
Yeah, they need to know early that Zach's not going to play, and they could set something up for Bridge where he can use his wheels and really set the game plan for Brandon Bridge. I don't want to see this. Maybe Zach. But Chris Jones isn't going to say who's going to start, right? He's notorious for playing with the media on who's healthy, who's not, who's going to start, especially with the quarterbacks. So hopefully he knows, on Monday, the head coach knows on Monday who's going to be the starting quarterback, and they can start game planning for Montreal to make sure that Bridge has these options to run.
I'm looking for the Riders to win this game, regardless of who's starting our quarterback here. It's going to be a sizable win. It's going to be about maybe a 28-10 for Saskatchewan. That's what I'm thinking we're going to see. Maybe even a 32-10, something like that.
That's a healthy score. This is against Drew Willie, but man, those Alouettes looked pretty awful in their first 2 games there. I agree, big win. I'd say the Riders get up to 30 points for sure. Hopefully defense holds them to less than 14. I think the defense will wake up, especially at home. Anything else on next week's game, Dylan?
You know what? I'm just looking to see improvements on the parts that we lacked in Ottawa. More aggressive football from everybody. Love to see Duron starting as a wide receiver and getting some touchdowns, because that's where he belongs. Let's face it.
Well, hopefully we get a little healthier in the secondary, and Duron is back as a starting receiver, catching balls, doing circus catches. All right, well, that brings us to the end of the show this week. I hope you had some fun.
It was fun. We talked some great football, good conversation. The Riders took a humbling loss, and I think that's important. Knock yourself off your pedestal a little bit, regroup, come back strong.
All right. That's the show for Dylan Robson. I'm Mitch Wiles. This was the Rider Outsiders.